Welcome to the Better Everyday podcast, where we're unlocking our best self one episode at a time. I'm Grace Garcia.
And I'm David Garcia. So today we're going to be doing the podcast on past and present, where we came from, how we got here. I think we've been married for I know we've been married for 7 years.
Yes.
And for a good amount of our beginning years, I think we were in a way stagnant. And the reason for that, I think we can identify now, is because we did not have a vision. We did not identify who we wanted to become.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we don't identify those two things, we have no idea where we're going or how to get where we want to get. I think we knew, like every other person, is we want to be successful. But successful in what? And we never defined that. And we started off our marriage kind of rocky, and so we had to figure out a lot of things before we even got to that point. There was a lot of healing that had to happen, and it took a while for us to finally come to this point. I believe in the last couple of months, maybe, is when we've really been honing in of where exactly we're going. And when you don't have vision and you don't have the definition of who you want to become, you're kind of just a prisoner of your feelings. I don't know if you feel the same way, but you just go off of what you feel. Today I feel like working out. Tomorrow I don't feel like working out. Today I feel like saving money. Tomorrow I don't feel like saving money. Today I feel like praying. Tomorrow I don't feel like praying. And so we're just managed. Our actions are dictated by our feelings. And that's kind of the American way, I guess. We kind of just do whatever we feel like doing. And it's all about our comfort zone. And it's all about let's just relax. Let's just feel good. If you think about all of the innovations that have happened in the last little bit, it's all about how can we make the American life even easier.
Yeah.
And so in the last little bit, especially after reading that book, Atomic Habits, we've mentioned it a couple times already.
We're not sponsored anyway.
I don't even think that needs to be said, but
You never know. One day.
after reading that book, I definitely feel like it has put a microscope on our life, maybe, or just really given our life more of a direction. Because me and you went through all the items of who do we want to become, and our list was pretty long.
Yeah.
And after you go through that list of who do you want to become, then the next question is, what are you doing to get there? And the next step that we did was we jotted down every single activity. It doesn't matter how small the activity is. We jotted down every single activity from morning to nighttime. And basically what we did was every single action, does it help us to become who we say we want to become, or is it hurting it? And for me, I love math. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I'm in the negative right now. I need to get into the positive. I need to make changes. So before I did all of that, I was watching a good maybe 3 to 4 hours of rerun shows. I love The Office. I love Friends. I love New Girl. And I think I've watched the entire series of Office maybe 5
That's just
to 7 times. It's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Same thing with New Girl. What else? Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I finally realized I'm wasting my time. I did the calculation, and I think it was double-digit days that I'd waste a whole year. And that really made me reflect of, okay, I'm wasting my time. And so one of the things that I personally wanted to become is a reader. So now I'm spending more time reading. I'm reading at least one chapter a day of a book, if not two. And point is that it really made us focus on who we want to become. And I don't know, how do you feel with the past and now the present?
I believe there's this conception when you get married, you're excited, you're in love. That's all you need, right? That's what the world tells you. Love conquers all. We had an American dream of careers we wanted to take, families we wanted to build. Like there's this very basic idea, I think, for most people, at least for us. I wouldn't want to say like we had no dreams or anything, you know. But then I think when you get married, you're bringing two completely different lives together.
Mm-hmm.
There's no routine set up. There's no guideline of how every day is going to look like. And so if you're not intentional with that, which how many people before they get married really sit down? I think the most I've heard from friends and family is, you're going to do these chores, I'll do these chores. If you cook, I clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we want to talk about like a daily routine, that's usually what I hear of. But then day to day really hits. And it's like how you said, what are we doing to become who we want to be? First, who do we want to be? Are we labeling that besides like a mom, you know, this employee at this job? And then second is, what are we doing to get there? And so you kind of just start doing life and your days go by, months go by, years go by, conflicts start arising or fruit is being birthed or bared and it's maybe not the fruit you wanted or it's not good fruit. And then you think back and like, were we doing anything? And I think I mentioned to you earlier that we're human beings. So there's no such thing as just staying stagnant. We're either going to grow in life or we're going to decay. And so I think we got to a point, I want to say like 2 years ago, because Araya is now 3, our daughter, 2 years ago, where it was looking really bad for us. I think we both had really negative habits, not cultivating our love, our marriage, which is super important, putting our hours in things that wasn't important. Like how you said yours was the shows. I'm sure my screen time was all crazy off the roof. But it's not things that we weren't, I wouldn't say like we were bad people. It's just we were not being intentional about budgeting our time, how you said, like who it is that we want to be. And for sure, I think one of the pivotal moments of our relationship or of what made us wanting to be intentional was, I think, the marriage. That's the first thing we're like, okay, we need help, we need guidance, we need an outsider perspective. Because same thing in a marriage, if we're not improving, then we're going to be backsliding. So I think that's kind of what started first. Like, let's get our marriage in order. Let's have someone come take a look and tell us what it is that we need to improve. And I think then that slowly started bringing in, okay, maybe our finances aren't so good. Okay, maybe our time, our extracurricular activities aren't so good. Like once we uncovered one layer, then we started slowly uncovering other layers.
And where do you think you've seen the most growth in us?
Oh, that's hard. I say that's hard not because it's hard. I can name like a lot. That's why I'm gonna say like together and then individual. So I think together is that teamwork mentality, and that was a long time coming. I think from the beginning of our marriage, it took me so long from like my family versus you. I grew up with such a close family, which is not a wrong thing in any means, but changing that mindset of we are a team, you and I. They're family, they're awesome, but you and I are a team. That even took a long way coming. And now I see that teamwork coming into play with our finances, which is awesome. Like we're tackling things together.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to you wanting to do your own activities and me, like you doing your poker nights with your guys, which I love, me going out with my girls and you're saying, yeah, like when we discuss with each, like we're discussing with each other, like this is a team. Like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think, so I want to say that team mentality for both of us. But even in you, like everyone who knows you, I think there's like a, you know, like BC and AD, like before Christ, and you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
There's like a pre-David, and like a new David. I don't know if, I want to say it's like your humility. I think you're just recognizing that I don't know it all, and you're so eager to learn. But I think that you were like that from the beginning. Maybe it just started compounding with time.
Yeah, I think for me, I always had a desire to learn more, but at the beginning, when it was more unhealthy, it was more about, I need to know everything so I can outsmart everybody.
Mm.
And now it's more of a humility, like, no, I don't know everything. And even when think that I know everything, I know nothing.
Mm.
And it's just being humble and just being like, there's so much more to learn.
Yeah.
I'll never be 100% in any area.
Yeah.
I can continue striving, which in reality will put me ahead of many, but that's not the purpose anymore. The purpose is just, how can I better myself to better the people around me?
I love that. Make me fall in love with you. But yeah, I think so. And with that, with your humility of just learning, it has impacted like multiple areas of your life, like how you treat me, how you treat the kids, how you said others, your work ethic, your financial, fitness goals, spiritual, like everything. So I think that's the biggest difference for you. And then the biggest difference, I think, for me is, I mean, I've always been a go-getter, but my attention span has always been like very like bursts of energy, flames that quickly just fizzle out.
Like the sound effect.
Yeah, we should push the button. And I'm really proud of myself. Like for a whole year, I've been consistent with social media.
Yeah.
And I know that like social media sounds easy.
It's definitely not.
But just do it like every single day when you don't feel like it. It gets boring and not being dictated by my emotions. Like, I don't feel like doing this. It's like, no, this is just something that I do. Like, just do the video, whether you feel like it or not. I'm pretty proud of myself, like the consistency.
What do you think has been the driving factor for you to want to become better? Like, is it just, I want a better life? Because I feel like there's a lot of people that say that they want better, but in reality, their actions say, I don't want better, I want comfortable. Comfortability is better for me.
Yeah.
Whereas there's some people that just embrace, like, I want better, and better is going to be harder, but I embrace that because in the long run, I'm going to be thankful that I did all the hard work.
Yeah.
So I know that, for example, finances has been something that hasn't been the easiest for you.
Yeah.
That's been some of our biggest fights. And just to let the audience know, this girl used to always brag to everybody, we never fight about money.
I
we
genuinely
never
thought
fight
we did
about
it.
money.
But that's because we never talked about it.
But we fought about money. Especially, so again, we had our beginning years where we were overdraft like all the time. I remember you calling like, Wells Fargo, please give me my $10 back.
That was like 30 something bucks.
Okay. And then we were just both,
we didn't care.
We didn't care.
Yeah. So there was no arguing about it.
I remember at first I was just like, you're in charge of the finances. Like, I'll bring the money in, or whatever money that I got, you're going to handle it. And then something switched. I think it was when you read the Dave Ramsey book, and you're like, nah, homeboy, like, I know you read this. I had read it before, just never applied it. And you're like, you need to apply everything in this book. Reread this book, and we're gonna do this together.
Yeah.
And that just backfired, because you wanted us to be better, but I don't think you had fully decided, like, mind, soul, heart.
I think that's when my short fuse came in. That's a good thing because I had all the passion in that moment to get you to do something.
Yeah.
So it's like that kinetic energy. I don't even know if I'm using that word right. To like get you moving. Once you move, that's when my fire died out. But at least that fire was used to let you up.
So, I mean, you got me, my motor's running and I'm black or white. So if I'm in, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And that's when you were like, you started become resistant because I thought I finally embraced the thought of if I want more, I need to cut back now. Mm-hmm. And it's just like Mr. Dave Ramsey, shout out to Dave Ramsey, always says to live like nobody else, first you have to live like nobody else, which basically means you got to make the sacrifices right now for you to just be in that bountiful fruit in the long run. Yeah. And so back to my question, what exactly was your drive for that? What was your drive for marriage? Because we've had a good amount of fights and some of them have been ugly. Yep. And again, somebody else in our shoes would have been like, we are done. Especially us being in California, Hollywood, like we are done. I'm going to go find better out there. Yeah. And we always think that the grass is greener on the other side. And we're tempted to jump over that fence and see the other grass. But what was the driving factor for you to just tough through all the obstacles and the hurdles?
That's a good question, and I feel like depending on my mood, my answer changes.
That's not a good answer because
I know
that goes back to you're driven by feelings.
I know. I think deep down inside me, like I know how you said, like you think you're going to be happy and you get a taste of that and you're not happy. And then you're like, if I just get to this point in life, I made it. Mm-hmm. And that never arrives. Like it's never what you're expecting it to be. It's always your mindset. And I think for me, I've just seen people in my life or even myself where like you become a slave to your feelings. And I never want that to be me because I know if I can conquer kind of like the domino effect, if I can conquer one thing, then I can just do the next and the next and the next. And then slowly I don't want to sound prideful, but all my weaknesses, everything that had a hold on me, like just starts falling off and my whole life is just going to be better. Right. And so it's just knowing like, I never want to be that person that says, well, I just can't, or I'm not gonna, because it's all because I'm a slave to my emotions. Mm-hmm. If that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good. And it's going back to the infamous book, the Atomic Habits. You said like it's a domino effect. You overcome one bad habit, you overcome another bad habit. And it's almost like a snowball effect. But it's not only that, but it's just strategizing when you know that you have a bad habit. It's just like, how am I going to basically outsmart myself? Because there's triggers, right? That's what we talk with that. That's what we read in Atomic Habits. There's cues that your brain goes, let's say the bed, you go to bed, like your brain's like, you're about to knock out. Yeah. You're going to get sleepy right now. And so there's some people that they try to read in bed and it's like, that is not the optimal place to be reading because your brain automatically is just going to start shutting down. And so changing the environment is a strategy that you can use. But the book also talks about try to make your good habit as easy as possible because us as humans, we are always going to try to do the easiest. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the good habits that we want to have takes a mental decision and for us to go over a mental hurdle. Because let's say, for example, working out, we have to mentally decide, and we already know it's not going to be easy, especially if we haven't worked out in a while. Yeah, that first workout, everybody can attest. That first workout, it's tough. It takes you a couple of days to recover. You hate life. Your muscles are sore. You can't even sit down properly, and it's hard. But the Atomic Habits book says, how do you make it as easy as possible? how do you remove all obstacles? So, for example, I myself go to the gym after work, and the gym is a mile away. So I could either run there or I could just drive there. It takes me like 3 minutes to get there. I could come home, but if I come home, then I'm tempted to,
Stay
well,
home.
I could just relax,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, okay, it's already on the way home. It's only 3 minutes away. Let me just stop at the gym. You know, that's just a strategy of like, how do I make sure that I'm not stumbled by a certain obstacle, right? And so, yeah, honestly, I can say that I'm proud of you for all the growth that you've had.
Thank you.
Because we definitely fought over a lot of things, and we finally come into an agreement. And like you said, we've finally decided to be one team, and we have each other's back, and there's trust. And we've come from a lot of not so great situations.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of great financial opportunities in our past, and we've fumbled the bag, as they say. I remember when your dad let us stay at this house rent free, and we did nothing with that opportunity.
We shopped, got matching shoes, matching jackets.
And then it goes back to the same thing. Who do we want to become? We had no definition. So we were like, oh, we have this great opportunity. And in our heads, we were like, yeah, we're going to save. We're going to save so much money.
We had no plan.
But like I always say, it's not until you flip your own switch. So you can say words, right? You can just say, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that because it sounds right. It's the right thing to say. But if there's not an internal decision of like, okay, no, starting tomorrow, no matter what. Yeah. I mean, you get the people that say, oh, on Monday, I'm going to start working out. Monday comes and they didn't start working out. And next Monday, I'm going to start working out. You know, we got friends like that, right? And so like, it's not until we flip that internal switch of like, we're going to do this. Because had we done that, we would have saved so much money while we were with your dad rent free. But sorry, what were you going to say?
Now I was going to ask you a question before you said that, like flip your own switch. I was going to ask, do you think any change that you've done in your life has been because of another person, or they were simply you decided?
Another person.
Or does it start maybe with the thought or encouragement of another person, and then you have to take ownership of it?
Well, I mean, if we start with the finances thing, you were the catalyst of that. It wasn't until, I mean, we talked about this in the last episode where we said sometimes us men, we need a kick in the butt. And you kicked me in the butt and you're like, nah, homeboy, I just read this and there's fire stuff in here.
So there's like, you can kind of, I can mess with your switch.
You can, but okay, so here's a really good topic. So you can mess with my switch, right? You could tell me this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
But again, it is not until I personally accept what you are saying, because there's some prideful people that I got it, whatever. I'm going to start next Monday. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to do it. Yeah. Don't tell me when to do it. But there's got to be that level of maturity. There's got to be that level of humility that says, I don't know it all. I do need help. And you told me like, no, we need to get this together now. And again, it's not until I personally, because you can have a multitude of people telling you this is what you need to do. Yeah. There can be a level of influence that makes you start teeter-tottering. But again, it is not until you personally make that decision internally, spiritually, mentally, in your heart. You just have to be completely in alignment. Yeah. Because if you're not, you're going to fail. And again, there's people that go, I'm going to start working out for my health. Doctor says I need to do it. And it's just words that they're saying that they know are right.
So what would you say to the person who whether it's finances, going back to school, like anything in life, they genuinely want to do something. They genuinely want to make that change for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And in their head, they think like, no, like this is who I want to be. I want to flip the switch.
Mm-hmm.
And they just can't.
What do you mean they can't though?
Like there's never that drive or that daily commitment to it. There's never that complete flip of the switch.
I think
their light goes off.
I think context is definitely important in that scenario because somebody could have that internal switch and say, yeah, I want to do it. But then same thing. You know who you want to become.
Yeah.
What are you doing to make it happen? Right. And I mean, me and you are both believers of you should not be doing life alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go back to humility, because humility will lead you to ask for help. Because in whatever it is that you've internally decided, it's a mental hurdle. It's something that you want to achieve. And if you haven't achieved it yet, it's for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't have all the knowledge. You don't have all the practice. You don't have all the strategy. So go out and find somebody who has excelled in that area that you want to do. And even more so, surround yourself with people like that.
Yeah.
Because again, it's influence. So you've started the fire. You've flipped the switch. The light is on. The fire is on, let's say. Now you need fire. You need wood to continue feeding that fire.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing like language. When they say you want to learn a new language, what is the best way? You go to that country and you stay there for a couple of months.
Immersion.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you're going to learn. And same thing. You want to be financially savvy, surround yourself by financially savvy people. You want to be healthy and more of like a workout person, surround yourself with that type of person.
Yeah. I'd even take it a step forward. While you were talking right now, you made me think of the book, The Cure.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said humility, it's like tell on yourself. Like it kind of goes back to I've never been an alcoholic, but the AA meetings where they say, my name's Grace and I'm an alcoholic. Like you have to know yourself, truly know yourself. And I think like be fed up with like, okay, I am someone who I keep saying Monday always comes around and I can't do it. But there's people who think maybe by the 10th, by the 20th, like I just need to try harder. I need to try harder. And they're lying to themselves. And I think you have to be so honest to yourself to the point where you don't trust yourself anymore. And so kind of like an alcoholic would do. I need people like what is it called? A mentor or those people, their sponsor, I think it is, to be on my phone dial when I want to quit, or I need to get rid of the alcohol because I can't trust, they don't trust themselves, right? They're rebuilding this life knowing that they don't trust themselves. And I think the same thing goes with people with bad habits is they still believe some form or way that it can be on their own strength. And it's not until you say like, I cannot do this alone. I need people. Like you need to tell on yourself. And again, if you fail, are you going to be telling your accountable people, like, I can't do it? Are you going to reach out to help, pay a therapist, talk to whatever it is? I think that's kind of like the key.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that we'll always talk about is accountability, having the right people around you, keeping you in check. I mean, if you really want to do it, it's not about feeling happy and it's not about feeling comfortable. Like, if you really want to be better, everything that is better is always harder.
Yeah.
And in the short term, it may even feel like it sucks. But, I mean, we've talked about it. Summiting a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
You go up a mountain, 4,000 feet of elevation gain, that must freaking sucks. But you get to that summit, it's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
The view of it. But you don't get that view without doing the hard work. You don't get that view without even deciding to wake up at 5 a.m. to go for that hike,
Mm-hmm.
without driving an hour to even get to that hike, to sometimes being 40 degrees Fahrenheit, it's freezing cold, and still deciding I'm going to go on this hike.
Yeah.
You start going up and it sucks. It's hard on the knees. It's hard on the lungs. Your heart rate is up. But you don't get the summit without all the hard work. And the summit isn't even the pinnacle of it. It's all the benefits that come with the hike.
Mm.
You get the perseverance. You get the identity, because to climb a mountain, I believe, gives you identity. And we're talking about physical mountain, and we're talking about metaphorical mountains as well. Like, there's an identity that you begin to give root to, of this is who I am. I'm a person that's determined. I'm a person that perseveres. I'm a person that, although it may suck in the now, I'm going to continue moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe that there's better ahead. But you don't see better ahead if you quit. If you quit, better ahead is only a fantasy. It's only a dream. And many people talk about living their dream, but not a lot of people do the work.
Yeah. And it's just crazy how they're willing to settle for the little bit of happiness, the little bit of comfort and peace. And they're like exchanging it for what they truly want. And I can just imagine God saying, like, you don't want to do this trade. Like, you don't even know this is such a horrible deal. But it's how narrow-minded we are, or how a slave to our feelings at that present moment. That's scary.
And I don't even think it's that, but it's also, especially us in America, it's how we've been conditioned. Again, because everything in the last, not even 5 years, but more years than that, like from the start of fast food.
Mm.
How do we get food as fast as possible? We don't care how bad it is. We don't care how much salt it is.
Yeah.
And then we live in a capitalistic world where all these companies are adding a little bit more sugar, a little bit more salt. These triggers that our body's like, we need more. We need more. It's almost like a drug.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, we become slaves to our feelings, slaves to our flesh of like, I just want to feel good right now. I don't care about the long run. I care about right now. And we just keep going from short bursts of, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Then down to the low of, I feel like crap. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. And it's like, what's that experiment where they did with rats? They put like heroin or something like that in the water. And the moment that these rats get a taste of it, they just keep hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, because it's just all they care about is that short term, like, I don't know if it's serotonin, just like that jolt of happy juice in your brain. Yeah, dopamine. There it is. And that's how we are.
Yeah.
We sacrifice the long term. We sacrifice, and to throw some Bible in there, I always go back to that one verse that says, the path is wide and many travel it, but that one leads to death. The path is narrow and not many people travel it, and that one leads to life.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so many people are going just easy, 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 easy. And we're conditioned to it, not just with food, with social media. Mm-hmm. Again, people just post all the good stuff, and so we're just like, we want that. We want that. And then if it's finances, like everybody who talks about finances, a lot of people are just like, how do I get rich right now? Oh, cool. Like, I want to invest, but let me hit that jackpot with that Bitcoin. Mm. Let me hit that jackpot with that penny stock. It's like, no, investment is all about long-term. Over the course of 20 years, you're like 100%. You have 100% win rate. I read that today, actually, in The Psychology of Money. Mm-hmm. That I think over 5 years, it's like 40%. 10 years, it's like 60%. and 20 plus years, as long as it's, fundamentally wise investments like an index fund or whatever, you're 100% guaranteed that you're going to win over time. Because if you look at the stock market, it's a nice little line. There's little dips and stuff, but overall it's trending up. But that's the sad thing. And I think that's one of the purposes of this podcast.
Yeah.
Is to have these conversations to at least spark a fire in somebody.
Self-awareness.
To just have them think and reflect and be like, do I want to live in this rat race that I'm being put in? Mm. Or do I want to challenge myself and live out the purpose that I'm supposed to live out? Because a lot of the short term, like, wins has nothing to do about other people. It has everything to do with us. Mm. But all the long term stuff has a lot more to do with more other people than yourself.
Wow. I think we should unpack that, because what you just said, I think, is powerful. I think we're Christian, so I think that's what sin is. It's me, 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 me. Mm. Right? That's why it's deadly. Because this is, I'm feeling lust. That's why even lust in a marriage is not good. Like, I want this. I want this. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. It's that instant gratification, but it's selfish.
Yeah.
And God is saying, I want to give you everything that you feel with instant gratification, mm-hmm. but I want to make it like, so you're blessed. So it's good for you. It's going to be good for, but also for your family, for your generations, for your community.
Yep.
And I think the enemy knows that. The enemy knows we're wired to want the good stuff. So it does a counterfeit, right? Everything is to trick us, to blind us, to not be able to see that far. And I think it's so important that we all need to consciously be self-aware and ask the decision, if what I'm doing now, because I don't want to say everything's a sin, be like legalistic, like watching a show, it's all a sin, But I think we do need to sit down and have that honest conversation. Is this to kill me, to steal from me, right? Because it says the enemy just comes to lie, steal, and destroy. Like, mm-hmm. And if it falls into one of those categories, like, okay, I don't want it. Because everything, fast food, to wanting to get out of our relationships, like most negative habits fall under one of those three categories. And again, we can reap all the benefits that we get from instant gratification, as long as, how you said, we put in the work.
Yeah.
But if we want instant gratification, we're harming ourselves, we're harming our children, because we can take one tiny example, and it'd be crazy to just see like the effects of that, mm-hmm. of how selfish it is, of how you are cutting off from people around you.
Yeah, and we're called to be a blessing to others. Mm-hmm. Like, our life is not for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't put on this earth to just live a lavish life and just, all right, I helped nobody, I loved nobody but myself, and see ya.
Yeah.
Like, no. We're called to me, bless my wife, my kids, my friends, people in need.
Yeah.
Like, I think we have a responsibility, especially us who are going after these challenges, trying to be better. Like the Bible says, the more we know, the more we're responsible for. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer in the more that God is blessing us with us overcoming and us achieving and us just becoming better versions of ourselves, we have a more responsibility to help the people in need.
Yeah.
And that there's people in need, both mentally, spiritually, physically, monetarily. And I feel like we've gotten to that point, which is amazing. We went from the point where you were crying to your dad, having to ask for money.
Never forget that day.
To the point that now when people ask us to borrow money, we go, here's the money. It's not borrowed.
Everyone's going to ask.
It's now a gift.
Yeah.
And that's honestly something that I'm proud of you for, because there's been times where people ask me and I'm like, hey babe, they want to borrow this money. And you go, nah. We're able to give it to them, and we're going to give it to them even we are not going to collect a penny.
Yeah.
Tell them it's a gift. And it's just a blessing to be able to do that. And it's a testament of how far we've come and how far God has brought us. And it's beautiful because, again, we're living out, and it's not like us showing off like, oh, look at everything that we've done. But it's just beautiful to literally see how far God has brought us and be able to not have such a love for money where we're like, oh, like, I don't want to give this to nobody. Like, this is going to set me back. Like, no, here, take it. It's such a blessing for us to be able to bless people that are in need. And it, for me, I'll keep saying it over and over again. It is fulfilling for me to have gone through what I've gone through and get to a point where I'm able to be, what's that verse? I believe somewhere in Matthew, it's like, you're going to be like a mustard seed that turns into like a tree, and it supplies life to birds. It supplies life to other animals. And just to be that. Because if I were to compare my life, I would compare it to a tiny little mustard seed. That was nothing. I didn't have any plans, didn't have any dreams. All I knew is I wanted to be married, and I didn't know what career I wanted to do or nothing. I didn't know how I was going to get any sort of success.
Yeah.
But now I'm at to the point where I'm so grateful for you, for God, for everything that we've gone through, that we can help people. Like, that's such a huge blessing. And that's one of my passions, for sure. And again, this is one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Is if we can help anybody through these conversations. And we are the type of people that if any of you were to reach out and ask for advice, we're there 100%. I mean, this one right here gets excited. Like, oh my gosh, look, they asked me for something. Like, it makes you feel special because you're a 3, right? So
yeah. Enneagram 3.
It makes you feel loved. It makes you feel valued.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's beautiful. I love where we're at right now. I love us doing this. And honestly, if we can hear stories of people saying like, hey, thank you for just sparking this idea in me or making me reflect and knowing that I need to make small adjustments. If we can just help in that, I mean, I'd be so happy.
Yeah, same. And part of the reason why we're so passionate, I think, because this wasn't like day and night. Like we say we flipped the switch, but it wasn't, we were living this way and boom, now we're living that way. One of the reasons why I personally am passionate is because they were baby steps, but it was key, I guess, pivotal moments that might seem difficult to some people, but it's like, if I can do it, like you can do it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I get like so passionate. It's like, come on, just listen, just do it, because it's crazy how, again, it starts off with one thing. It starts off maybe with marriage, and it just flows into other areas of life, because that feeling of once it becomes part of your identity, it's going to fall. You're a multifaceted person, so it's going to fall into multiple things that you do in your daily life. Mm-hmm. And so once you feel confident that I can achieve this, you start achieving other things, and it's a domino effect. And I think that's what I hope to happen with this podcast is like, just take maybe one thing, like just change one thing and see how you're able to do it. Get that confidence to then change the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. Because I get excited. I'm like, okay, and I'm doing this. What's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next thing? And I'm like, you guys, we were not like this, like at all. Like, trust me, if we can do it, you can do it. If we can do it, you can do it. Yes. And I just want to ingrain that into people. Like, the first step might seem scary, And so whether you need to reach out to a friend, get a counselor, a therapist, a pastor, a leader, if you want to reach out to us, like just so we can take that, go up the mountain with you, so that once you do it, you're like, I did it, and you'll want to do it again and again in different areas of life. Like, do it. Don't let anyone stop you.
Yeah, and that it's possible. It's 100% possible.
For sure.
Whatever it is that you've been thinking about trying to achieve, it's 100% possible. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And that's something that we will be real about in our conversations is it's not real. We're not here to sell, here are the 5 easy steps for you to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, no. There's nothing easy about it. It's hard, but it's hard for a reason. There's purpose behind it, and there's character building behind it. And honestly, I've fallen in love with challenges just for the sake of the journey of seeing what I'm made of. And not so much seeing what I'm made of, but more of what God placed in me.
Yeah.
And I truly believe it's greatness to be a blessing to others. And yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm super duper grateful for our journey, all the steps that we've taken, even all the fights that we've had. I mean, just to throw a little. This beautiful lady,
Me,
one time showed me on her phone these, like, I don't even know what to call them, divorce papers.
Yeah, they were divorce papers.
I mean, she had just like Googled it.
I did.
I don't know what exactly she Googled, but scroll all the way to the bottom and it says, you can have this document for $8.99.
That's the only thing he'll forever remember.
Oh, yeah. But I remember in that moment, like, I had to react and be like, no, I can't laugh at this. Although I did laugh.
Yeah, I remember you did it. It annoyed me.
I laughed, but at the same time, I reacted and I'm like, nah, if she's serious about this, like, no, I can't do this. But those are moments where, for me, for example, one of the things that I've struggled with was pride. And in that moment, I had to die to my pride. I've had some pivotal moments where I've had to die to my pride, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Because I could have laughed and be like, you're a joke. Like, this is dumb. Like, I could have made you feel ridiculous. But I died to my pride, and I was like, I remember I just looked at you and I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Whatever it is that you want me to do, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I looked you dead in the eye and I said, screw it. Whatever it is you want me to do, I'm in.
Yeah. And I think that's the mountain you're talking about metaphorically. Like, if you guys haven't hiked, highly recommend, so you know what we're talking about. But there's moments where your hips ache, your knees hurt, and you sit down for 1 second and you're like, I can't get up. I can't get up. And you have to decide if you push through the pain and keep going up, not knowing if you're a mile away, not knowing if you are 3 miles away.
Yeah.
And you see people on their journey coming down, and maybe they'll tell you, like, you're doing a good job, you're almost there. Some of them lie, and you're not almost there.
Yep.
But those are the pivotal moments where it's like, do I just throw it all away? Do I take what I've gained and count it as gain, not knowing there's so much more to be gained? Because how many people do you see divorced for irreconcilable differences? Oh, but we've learned so much. We're taking out a good friendship. Like, they make it seem like they're happy. And I'm sure there is something that you've gained from it. But what you've gained halfway through the mountain and then coming down is not going to be what you gained once you reach the very top and decided, I'm going to still keep pushing through.
Yeah.
This hurts like a mother.
And how about even like another perspective of, let's say you decide to go up the mountain. Like, I think about this. I don't want to offend anybody, but there's this joke when I was a little kid. And I'm not even going to make it offensive. I want to make it so anti-offensive.
So gentle.
Yeah. It's this joke about 3 girls. They have different hair colors. That's all I'm going to say. Point is, that one of the hair color girls gets halfway. Oh, they have to swim a certain distance. Let's take a mile. She swims halfway, which is half a mile, and she decides this is too hard and swims back. If you do the math, that's a whole mile.
Correct.
So she could have just gone the whole way. And so in the same way, like if you've decided I'm going to climb whatever mountain it is that you want to label and you start going and it's tough, listen, you're already in the trenches.
Yeah.
Keep going. Because you felt the pain. You felt the thoughts of this sucks. Make it worth it. Because if you turn around and you're like, I'm done. It's over. Can't do it. Well, guess what? Maybe you don't think about it every day. But you're going to know there was one day that you tried to do something and you just quit.
Yeah.
And for me, like a lot of people say like, oh, it's okay. Embrace failure. Failure for me, the definition of failure is quitting. So like tripping, falling, that to me is not failure. That's tripping and falling. When you get up and you decide, do I go back or do I go forward? That's a decision. And I believe you going back and saying, I'm done, that's failure. That's quitting. And so my point right now is just, if you're already feeling the pain of whatever decision that you made to become better, make it worth it. Keep going. You're going to get to the reward. And maybe you've seen that picture of a man digging for diamonds. And he's about, I don't know, let's say an inch away from getting to the diamonds. And he's dug so far.
Yeah.
And you feel like, I've done so much work and I haven't gotten to it yet. I haven't achieved it yet. And you turn around and little did you know, you were an inch away. Or going back to Atomic Habits, it gives this example of an ice cube. An ice cube does not melt until 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And let's say you're in a room with that ice cube at 25 degrees Fahrenheit. And you've heated up that ice cube to 31 degrees Fahrenheit. So you've done 6 degrees Fahrenheit worth of work. But it's not until you reach that 32 degree Fahrenheit where you see that little bad boy start melting.
Yeah.
And so you just got to persevere and make it worth it.
Yeah. And I think there's those like posts that you see or is like, this is hard, right? And this is hard. Like choose your hard. Like divorce is hard. Marriage is hard. Choose your hard.
Yeah.
A health issue is hard. Working out is hard. Choose your hard. I think it's Ecclesiastes. Sorry, I say Ecclesiastes in Spanish. Where it says like, there's going to be suffering in the world. Everyone. Not one person is going to avoid it. But do you want to do it in vain or not?
Right.
Because we can easily do it in vain and not have gained squat. We could worse become more bitter, more of a stubborn person, more prideful. Or we can embrace that suffering, embrace that pain, move forward in faith, ask God to intervene, and it all be counted as gain. So life's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. And I don't know who ever had the idea to say that it was easy, but it's going to be hard regardless.
Yeah.
I've loved this conversation.
Me too.
It's been a great one. And again, we just want to encourage you guys. We hope that this sparks something inside of you guys for you guys to be able to reflect and think, I want to do something.
Yeah.
And again, it's going to take determination, perseverance, decisions, actions, faith, delayed gratification. It's going to take all those things and many much more things. But it's going to be worth it. And if you can do that, it's a corny thing to say, but the world will be a better place. Because the more that you achieve those things and the more you see that you were blessed to be a blessing, much more people will be blessed.
Yeah.
And that fire will continue to keep going. in other people as well. So, babe, I just want to say I love you. I thank you for this conversation. And to you guys, the audience, we just want to say please like and subscribe. Comment, please. If you guys have any thoughts, any questions, anything, please comment. We will be reading them. And if you have any questions, we will take them into consideration for any future podcasts, or if you need us to personally reach out, anything. We are here for you guys. We're here to serve you guys. And these conversations, it's to better our relationship.
Yeah.
But it is also to bless you guys. So we thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this podcast, to watch this podcast, and we will see you guys next time.